Hi guys, today I want to share a recipe with you for a perfect coffee cake. This cake both tastes really yummy and it looks stunning with all those beautiful citrus fruits on top. You want to start by breaking the eggs into a medium bowl and giving them a short whisk just to break the egg yolks and mix them with the egg whites. Then you want to add in the sugar and mix shortly again. Now you want to measure the olive oil and don't worry about the olive oil tasting in the cake because you won't taste it at all. So measure the olive oil and add that in, and again just whisk it shortly so that it's combined. Then we are adding in the yogurt. I'm using Greek yogurt, natural flavors, so without any additional flavors, and I'm also mixing that in and swapping the fork to a spatula because just to make it easier to mix in, and for the next steps I prefer to use the spatula. Now that we have mixed in all the wet ingredients, we can start adding the dry ingredients, and you want to start by sifting in the flour with the baking soda and the baking powder. What I'm doing here, I'm just adding bits of flour first, so I think I divided it into 3 parts. So I'm adding about 1/3 first, just giving it a short mix, then adding more, giving it another mix, and then adding the rest. This way it is easier for me to mix in the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients and also to avoid any lumps in my batter. Now that I have a nice and smooth batter, I'm adding in the poppy seeds, and I will also be mixing those in just until they are nicely combined. If you're not a big fan of poppy seeds, you could also leave them out. The cake will be as delicious without them, but if you like poppy seeds like I do, I'm a big fan, then add them in because they give a nice little crunch and this great structure for the cake. Now I'm adding in the vanilla because I forgot to add it in with the wet ingredients, but you can also add it in on an earlier stage with the wet ingredients. Now that our dough is ready, we are going to prepare the citrus fruit. So I'm using mandarin and I'm just cutting them into fairly thin slices. Now you want to take your cake tin and brush it well with some olive oil. I'm using a ceramic form, but you could also use an aluminium form or a silicone form. You just would want to adjust the baking time then, because the cake will most likely bake faster in one of those. Now you want to take the mandarin slices and place them in your cake tin, both at the bottom and at the sides to decorate the cake. Once you have arranged the mandarin slices beautifully in your cake tin, you want to pour the cake batter on top of the slices. Now just smoothen it out a little and bake as instructed in the recipe. The link to the recipe can be found down below in the description box. Closer to the end of the baking time, you want to keep checking the cake. So I noticed that my cake is browning just from one side, so I decided to turn it around so it will get brown from the other side as well. And before you remove the cake from the oven, you want to check with a wooden skewer that it's baked through. Then remove it from the oven and allow it to cool a little bit before you start removing it from the cake tin. As you can see here, my cake is not very even, so I decided to just even it out a little by placing some weight on top of it. And after I think about 10 minutes, I noticed that it's already nice and even. So then I turned it around and allowed it to cool completely on a cooling rack. While removing the baking form, you might notice that it's not coming out really easy, so just wiggle the form a little bit and the cake will just pop out. And actually, before we allow the cake to cool completely, we want to make the glaze. So for that you want to choose one mandarin and mix it with the powdered sugar. You want to mix it until you get a nice and smooth glaze, and then you want to use the glaze to cover the cake. You want the cake to be warm, so not hot but warm at this point when you're covering it with the glaze. Also, you want to make sure that you cover the cake with the glaze both from the top and from the sides. Once you have covered the cake with the glaze, you want to allow it to cool completely before you serve it. I can tell you that the cake tastes even better on the next day than on the day you have baked it, because it has time to soak up that glaze, and so it becomes even more softer and really moist on the inside. So you might want to bake it beforehand and serve it on the next day. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you liked this Mandarin upside down cake recipe. If you did, please don't forget to leave me a like for support and subscribe for some more delicious recipes. Thank you for watching my video. Bye bye until next time.